Jerry's non-IB friends keep telling him that the IB is a scam. He can't help but agree, even though he's been trying his hardest to keep up with his studies. He wants to be an engineer, but his non-IB friends laugh at him. Bjorn cannot stand to see his good friend Jerry being pushed around by his so-called non-IB friends. Having enough, he decides to step in and breaks Jerry off from them. He helps Jerry to get back on his feet, offering to tutor him on Physics HL or help with his TOK, getting his groove back into the IB diploma. Jerry soon realizes that the so-called scam with the IB is just something his old friends would say to drag him down with them. Thankfully, he has an amazing friend like Bjorn around. Having more friends like Bjorn and surrounding yourself with inspirational people allowed Jerry to break out of that and ultimately conquer his IB exam goals. The IB diploma is a scam. All right, that's at least what I was told or what I see all the time when I scroll through Reddit and the IBO. People getting pissed at the IB, people calling it a scam, people calling it, I saw this one post right here that it's an overrated education system and that they got scammed and they feel taken advantage of. All right, maybe that's true. I'm not here to try to defend the IB in any way, but I am here to say that even if it is true, even if you are being scammed right now for the IB, so what? What can you do about it? So as you know, everybody, my name is Joaquin Revello. I got a perfect 45 in the IB Diploma, and I'm a current student at the UPenn Wharton and Engineering dual degree program known as the Management and Technology of the Jerome Fisher M&T. So I'm making this video right here to address something I see all the time in Reddit, and it's people complaining about the IB, saying how much it's a scam, saying how bad it is, all this type of stuff. And the main point I want to bring up here is that even if the IB is trash, even if it is bad, even if, like, again, I'm not trying to defend the IB, maybe it is bad, maybe it is a scam, but that doesn't really matter. Okay, it doesn't really matter if it's a scam. It doesn't really matter if it's bad, because you need to understand that if you want to get into a top university, or if you want to really achieve academic mastery and build these skills, and then, I mean, hopefully you just want to get into a top university, point blank period. Hopefully you're not taking the IB for reasons apart from that. But if you are, kudos to you. But if you want to get into a top university, the IB is, apart from the AP if you want to take some other course, for most students, it's basically the only option they have. Okay, they need to take the IB to hopefully get into a top university. So first of all, understand that there's nothing you can do about that. And that should be, in many cases, free. Because now you can approach the IB with the intention, not necessarily to learn the content. All right, that's not what I was like. When I did the IB, I wasn't trying to like learn the content. Like I wasn't there to like, I got to like master my chemistry skills, nothing like that. I framed the IB as an opportunity. And this is the key part of this entire video. And if there's one thing I want you to take away that you can implement into your own life that completely changed the way I view the IB, and I really viewed all of this type of stuff, is I viewed the IB as an opportunity to become better. And I remember I had this conversation with one of my friends in math class who was bitching about this math exam we had and all the work we had to do, and then the extended essay and the IAs that were due. And he was just getting very angry about everything he had to do, right? You realize we're gonna have to do this either way. So either we can have this mentality of victimhood, of we're being oppressed by the IB, of there's something wrong with us, there's something wrong with the IB, there's just someone's out there to make our lives more miserable. Or we can have the perspective of, hey, we can utilize this as fuel to become a better person. We can utilize this as fuel to build the skills that are required to get us closer towards that ideal self. Because those 2 years are going to happen regardless, right? You're going to go through the IB diploma regardless of how you feel, regardless of what you think, regardless of what you do. The 2 years are going to elapse either way. So do you want to use that as an opportunity to get closer to becoming your ideal version, your best version of yourself? Or do you want to use that as an opportunity to just squander away and get mad at the IB and say you're being oppressed and all this type of stuff? I would rather use it as an opportunity to become stronger, as an opportunity to grow. Because you need to understand the following, okay? If I was to ask you right now to picture the best version of yourself, living your best life, right? What would that look like for you? What would you be doing? How would you act? How would you walk? How would you talk? What would you be thinking about? What would you be doing? What projects would you be spending your time towards? And at least myself, when I started doing this and I meditated on it for a while, once I really got clear on what the best version of myself looks like, what that individual looks like, how exactly they would act, what would be aligned with the person I want to become. Once I asked myself that question and I got very clear on it, it changed my life. And the reason why it changed my life is because I understood that that person, that ideal version, that best version of myself had all of these skill sets, all of these character traits that I was lacking as of right now when I did that. One of those character traits was discipline. One of those character traits was perseverance, ambition, right? The best version of myself did the work even when they didn't feel like it, did the work even when they didn't want to, did not procrastinate, instead kept plowing forward, had the discipline to continue moving and to continue achieving and to continue striving to improve thyself. That's part of what the best version of myself is. So when I saw it from that perspective, that, hey, I have these skill sets that I'm currently deficient in, and I need to expand these. I need to make them stronger in order to eventually become that best version of myself. I can approach any difficulty that came up in my life, any form of obstacle, any form of pain, just anything that happened in my life. I can approach it from the perspective of doing it to better myself, doing it to improve myself, to become stronger, to become better. When I approached it from that perspective, the IB became very easy. Why? Because now I had a purpose as to why I was suffering. I had a purpose as to why I was writing this EE, why I was writing this IA. And that worked for me. All right, might not work for you. Maybe there's a better purpose. Maybe there's a better necessity, right? Brent Bouchard talks about that fundamental key skill of building necessity, having a strong why. Maybe that might not work for you, but for myself, that helped tremendously. Because every single time I sat down to do work, I was making progress towards becoming the better version of myself. And here's the crazy part about this. Even if the IB's exam, even if none of this stuff matters, even if at the end of these 2 years, my diploma gets set on fire and IB Diploma gets destroyed, and maybe we all attack the IB Diploma and we take it over and then just destroy the building and the IB Diploma no longer exists. Even if that happens, all right, it does not matter. Why? Because we built the skill sets of having gone through a rigorous program, of having gone through rigorous training, right? Even if we lose all the fruits of our labor, we still maintain those character traits. We still maintain those skills, those belief systems, that stronger version of ourselves that we became throughout that process. We still maintain that, right? One of the reasons why I love doing work so much, and I genuinely love doing work, it's because it's progress towards a better version of myself. Even if the work I do is completely meaningless and it doesn't matter. I mean, hopefully I do work and I actually get results from it. But even if I didn't, for whatever reason, it's still making me stronger, still getting me closer to that ideal version of myself. If I'm placed in an easier opportunity, or I'm placed in an easier job or an easier whatever, I now went through the tribulations, I went through the long hours of studying, I went through the tests, right? The hard tests that someone must go through to become that strong individual. I already went through all of that, and because of that, I'm more adept to approaching any obstacle that might be thrown my way. All right, I'm better suited for that because, simply put, I'm closer to that ideal version of myself. So I want to make this video. I know it's less tactical, as in do X, Y, and Z to improve your IB results, but this mindset shift really improved my life. All right, and the reason why I improved my life is I no longer dreaded doing the IB. I no longer dreaded doing any form of work, right? Like, apart from the IB, every single time I went to the gym, I was pretty happy that I was at the gym. Why? Because I was doing work that I knew would improve myself. And when you frame the work that you're doing and you frame it into that perspective of, hey, I'm doing this to become a better person. Hey, I'm doing this work to get closer to that ideal version of myself. I just found that it unlocked, quote unquote, unlimited motivation. It unlocked the ability to continue plowing through, the ability to remove procrastination, the ability to sit down and say, hey, this might be difficult, but at least I'm getting stronger. At least I'm getting bigger. And even if the IB doesn't matter, it really just changed my life. So I hope you make that change as well. This was probably near like the beginning of the IB diploma when I was getting like, I told you I got my 4, or I got a 4 actually in one of my first math exams, and I got like a 3, I think in my economic paper ones, I got like 3 out of 10 points in the paper 1 question. Tremendously bad there. But even though I got those math scores to begin with, I saw it as a means to an end. I saw it as a vehicle by which I can improve myself. And I hope you make that mental shift away from, and this expands not only in the IB, but also to anything else you do in your life. You do the work not only to get the end result, right? Hopefully you do the work to actually get the end result, but also to become a stronger individual. All right, so I want to wrap up this video by giving you a tactical strategy. All right, the first general strategy of this video, if there's one thing you take away, is to make that perspective shift, all right, from the work you're doing. That's number 1. The other tactical strategy I want you to do is I want you to be very careful as to the information that you feed your mind, because you need to understand that and I just found this very fascinating when I first learned it, and again, it just changed my life. Your mind essentially makes a model of the world, right? Everything you've ever experienced, whether that's what you see, which is one of the I think it's the strongest sense, right? The majority of our information comes from what we see, what you touch, what you feel, what you taste, the rest of it. Your mind makes a mental model of the world based on what it takes in. So if you're very careful as to what you take into your mind, you can create the reality you want to live in. You can create the world that is aligned with your purpose, with your ideal character, and ultimately with the person you want to become. Now, essentially what this means is that if you want to think productive thoughts, if you want to think optimistic thoughts, if you want to think from this perspective of how can I make myself stronger, how can I improve myself every single day, how can I become the best version of myself, if that's the only thoughts, quote unquote, you want to have, you need to make sure that the information you're taking in helps you build that mental model of the world. In other words, this is the tactic I want you to implement into your own life, right? I want you to be very careful as to the information you take in, all right? Listening to optimistic, productive, self-improvement type of content like this right here, this is exactly what's going to start to shape your mind to view the world from this perspective of trying to improve yourself. This is why I love listening to audiobooks, because it gives me a glimmer at what these individuals are doing, what they're thinking about. So that's number one, be very careful as to the information you take in. Number two, be very careful to the friends you have, all right? Understand that it's not the total amount of people that you hang out with that matters, but instead how much time you're spending with each person. Because you need to understand that spending time with a person is information that you're taking in, and that information is gonna build a mental model of the world. So if you're hanging around overweight, lazy, unproductive people, you're basically giving your brain information that it's okay to be like that. Why? Because that's the information the brain takes in. That's the people your brain sees. So your brain builds this model around people looking like that, people being okay, being in the state of laziness, in the state of overweight. Every single one of my friends I admire in one way. Every single one. There's not a single friend that I have that I look at and I'm like, damn, why are you here? Like, what do you do? No friends like mine are like that. And this is also why getting into a top university I think is such a big hack in life. It's because you're surrounded around those people. Your brain has no other option. Like, let's say you go to Harvard or UPenn, your brain has no other option but to create a mental model around the people you hang out with. And if the only people you hang out with are high achieving students, right? All my friends have some type of startup, and that creates this type of worldview in my own brain that it's normal to become successful. It's normal to have a fit body while having a startup, while also doing all these extra co-curriculars on the side, having the social life. That is normal. And that is essentially the reality I've chosen to believe in. So point is, if you take in that negative information, you're essentially going to build a mental model that reflects that. And then bringing this back to the start with the IB is a scam. If you want to believe that, if you want to go around thinking those thoughts that the IB is trying to scam you, absolutely. The only problem I have with that is that it puts you into this lazy category, right? Because if the IB is a scam, that means that by definition, it's not your fault, okay? There's some type of third party that's involved that is making your life worse. In this case, it would be the IB because it's trying to scam you. So instead of having that mental model, which I don't think is a helpful one, I would rather have the mental model, hey, whether or not it's a scam does not matter. What matters instead is that I utilize this opportunity for personal growth. I utilize this opportunity to become a stronger individual, because at the end of the day, IB is work. So any work I do improves myself. I utilize this opportunity to become a better person. And hopefully I can utilize that to build the skill sets I need to become that elite high achieving student. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, maybe in a decade, maybe in 2 decades, maybe in 5 years, whenever you project yourself as being in that state, you're able to reach that person that you consider to be your ideal lifestyle. So that's all I have for you in this video. Go ahead, apply that. These 2 action points more than anything. So hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comment section down below. You also found an Easter egg. If you want to read my entire extended essay, type in extended essay into the link down below, grizzly.com/Easter egg. Type in the code extended essay, one word. Hopefully it should be on the screen right here. Until next time, stay grizzly. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.